Fernando Monti back on News Radio 610 WIOD as we go into the Stone Zone on a day that we are without question in the Twilight Zone after that unbelievable performance theater art that took place last night, that Theater of the Absurd called a presidential debate. I'm not sure that I would call it a debate, but nonetheless. Roger Stone, welcome back to the broadcast.
Good evening, great to be here.
Roger, last night, an approach that I know you have been advocating Donald Trump take for a long, long time. It seems like, whether you can admit it or not, he finally listened to your advice on the approach you thought would work. Your reaction to what happened last night?
Well, I've always thought that the sexual assaults by Bill Clinton, and more importantly, Hillary's role in the aftermath of those, her efforts to attack, discredit, smear, threaten, and bully his victims, all of which is legally documentable, is a legitimate issue because it speaks to her character. She is the one who raised the question of Trump being a misogynist. She's the one who raised the question of Trump's treatment of women. So I think her treatment of women, notably Bill's victims, or her treatment of young Kathy Shelton, raped at 12 years old, these are germane. These are fair game. Now, I would not have staged a press conference where they endorse Trump because I think that's a bit political, but I would like to have the American people hear what these women have to say. They don't have the forum that Hillary Clinton has, and heretofore, with the exception of NBC, in the 80s, they've largely been ignored.
Roger, I do want to ask you, though, because I think, your point, I think, is one that is certainly worth contemplating. However, isn't Donald Trump, the candidate that you're supporting, perhaps the worst possible messenger for that message, particularly after this happened, Roger?
After what happened? We have a bite here?
Yeah, we have a bite.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Nah, let me ask you this. It really has to do with the Access Hollywood stuff from last night. Donald Trump made those comments that have been met with resounding condemnation from the Republican Party. Even Mike Pence had to say that they were disgusting comments. Roger, I guess my question is, you've seen this defections alike we've never seen. Is it too little too late for this approach that Donald Trump utilized last night in the debate?
Well, first of all, you've been in this business a long time, and I have enormous respect for your accomplishments. In politics, 3 weeks is a lifetime. This electorate is very volatile, and the nation's pretty evenly divided. Both the candidates carrying very high unfavorables, both candidates polarizing. So, no, the race is not over. Frankly, in this election, the endorsement of established career politicians and party officials is largely meaningless to the voters. I understand that Hillary's supporters in the media are trying to create, a bandwagon effect. But please, John Huntsman not supporting Donald Trump is not news. It's just not news.
But Roger, I know that you believe polls, you read polls. I mean, there's been no question that since that first debate, Donald Trump has lost the ground that he made up after the Democratic convention, where the race was tied going into that debate.
And the week before that, Hillary lost ground because she said she was in perfect health, and then she collapsed on 9/11. Give you examples of how this race can have wide swings. If the election were tomorrow, Trump would probably narrowly lose, but the election is not tomorrow. And we have a lot of time here in which I think the American people are going to learn more and more about both candidates. And in a way, it's kind of like musical chairs. Let's see who's in the chair at the end. Neither one of these candidates is so damaged that they could not win. And we don't have any polling after the so-called Billy Bush incident that isn't colored by the debate. I think the debate came too soon. As you know, you can't poll in the eye of the storm. You can't poll, the day after any cataclysmic event because public opinion needs time to settle.
Roger, let's talk though for a second about who was standing in that chair, because I know that you just referenced the 9/11 Hillary Clinton collapse. I don't think anyone denies it. It was there on tape. It was happened. But we talked about in the intervening days and weeks that depending on her stamina and performance in these debates, where she would have to go 90 minutes plus without a break, she seemed to rise to that challenge in the first debate, certainly again last night. Does that put to rest any concerns you have?
I disagree with your assessment last night. I could see the beads of sweat on her face as for the first time in her entire career, there was no buffer between her and her accuser. She's finally been confronted with her crimes and her failures. She keeps talking about her career. Name one accomplishment. One. Just name one. She makes this crap up.
But Roger, what does that have to do with her stamina? You said beads of sweat. I mean, by that metric, Richard Nixon would have been discarded in 1960.
It's not just beads of sweat. Look at her eye movements. People who were there in the room, and I wasn't, you weren't, she did not react well to being confronted, which is why she and her husband need to be confronted more. It's finally time to pay the piper. No, this race is far from over. It's amazing to me, and my sources tell me she refused to shake Trump's hand at the beginning. Therefore, they didn't, and somebody must have tipped Trump off, because you notice he didn't reach over to shake hands. The ice queen is finally busted. She's in trouble. This race is volatile. I would admit that she's probably still ahead today, but there are many, many more developments to see down the road.
Roger, speaking of those developments, and you did come on the show last week, and you said by this time this week, meaning today, the proverbial bottom would have dropped out with what Julian Assange was promising to be a blockbuster, devastating incident that would have ended her campaign. That did not happen. Why not, Roger Stone?
Let me add the word yet. Well, I think because Assange has been threatened, that's why. And because if the Ecuadorian government throws him out on the street, he'll be immediately seized, which is really more about silencing him. There are rape allegations against him that are completely trumped up, in my opinion. There's more than enough indications that a single man, had casual sex. That's political, in my opinion. There was an attempt, as you know, to break into the embassy 2 weeks ago, which would give me some alarm. And the guy who was clearly his source that worked at the Democratic National Committee got 3 bullets in the back. The Washington Post keeps saying it was a botched robbery. Well, why then are his wallet and his cash and his wristwatch untouched? So I could see why he might have pause. I know that some of his advisors are in the same party you're in, and they have said, Julian, don't do this. You look like a Republican stooge, and they're going to kill you. Well, he's not a Republican stooge. If he has anything whatsoever on Donald Trump that he has acquired online through hacking or any other source, he should release it. He should release it. I just don't think he's got anything, because there's nothing there. What you see is what you get. The WikiLeaks disclosures this week were not insignificant in the sense that they brought one of the best moments of last night's debate. She did. We now know that in her $635,000 speech to Goldman Sachs, she said you have to say one thing in public and one thing in private. And then she went on to this long explanation about Abe Lincoln that I know she kind of lost me, giving Trump the best one-liner of the night. You're no Abe Lincoln. I thought immediately of that great line by Lloyd Bentsen in which he destroyed young Dan Quayle. So
remember, though, Roger, Lloyd Bentsen, Michael Dukakis went on to lose that debate and that election. Let me go to a quick break, Roger. We're going to come back. We got a bunch of folks that want to talk to you. 866-610-6397 as we continue our conversation with perhaps the man behind the man, Roger Stone, on News Radio 610 WIOD.
In the past, one word saved lives. We have to.
Fernando Monti back on News Radio 610 WIOD as we go deep into the heart of the Stone Zone with Trump supporter, veteran of 9 presidential campaigns, and someone who is regarded, I think correctly, Roger, you would agree, as the most dangerous man in politics, Roger Stone. And let's go back to the phones with Roger Stone and kick it off at 866-610-6397. We've got Scott on the line. Scott, you're on with Roger.
Yes, hello, thank you. Roger Stone, you're a true patriot. You are a true patriot. And I've enjoyed your work on Infowars.com. Thank you so much. However, Fernando Mondi is a traitor. He's a traitor to everybody. He's a bully online. Roger, you should not talk to this man anymore. He's a bully online. I'm a business owner. I'm calling for all business owners to stop advertising on 610 AM. Go to 610 AM, Fort Lauderdale, advertising. Call them. Withdraw your support from 610 AM. Fernando Mondi is a bully. He's a bully. He talks people down. He's very, very rude to people, and frankly, he lies. He would rather have Hillary Clinton's husband in the White House. He's a rapist. We all know this. We all know about the rape T-shirt. He is a rapist, and Fernando Mondi would rather have him chasing around interns with a cigar in the Oval White House. That's
all right. Thank you for.
Oh no! Let him go, Roger. Roger, I love these callers.
That's enough. I get it. I understand.
We're in the twilight zone today, as I said. But right, Scott, I'm for that. I agree with you. By the way, Roger, let's go back though, because I do want to ask you this.
Can I just look? Let me just. I need to address that.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Look. Just the fact that Fernando has me on and allows me to speak shows that he's fair-minded. He and I disagree. We vehemently disagree. On those rare occasions where I get to see him, we argue like cats and dogs. That's our American system. I'm against censoring people. That's what the bullies who work for Hillary Clinton want. That's why when I appear on C-SPAN or when the Hill, newspaper reprints an op-ed I write, they want me to be silenced. That's not our American system. Everybody should have an opportunity to speak. And I, generally speaking, with a few exceptions of those who play dirty pool, I respect my adversaries, but I can't go along with the idea of censorship. It's un-American. Let's move on.
All right. Well, Roger, that is the one thing, especially coming from a background of Cuban Americans, censorship is the first step to dictatorship. We don't like that. Thanks so much for the phone call nonetheless, Scott, because that's what America's all about. Back to the phones we go. We've got George on the line. George, you're on with Roger Stone.
Hi, Fernando. How are you?
I'm all right, George.
Good. Thank you for taking my call. I'm calling because I just want to point out to everybody that's listening and to the entire country of the United States that we're kind of getting a raw deal because the media is actually driving this campaign. It's not about Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. It's what the media wants, and the media is extremely liberal. And Clinton pays them, and through the foundation that she has set up, and she's got a machine going where she has foreign interests that come in and pay offshore companies, and the offshore companies are the ones that deposit money to her foundation, and then they get dissolved. And this is the way.
Wait, George, where is the payment, and where is the payment of media people through the Clinton Foundation? That's there are people in the media that have contributed to the Clinton Foundation, like George Stephanopoulos.
No.
I think it's a conflict of interest myself when that happens. I agree with you. But where are they paying people in the media, George?
She has people in the media on favors. And I'll give you an example. This gentleman, Comey from the FBI, apparently his brother is doing a large amount of housing work as a contractor and is being funded by the Clinton Foundation.
All right. Thanks for your phone call. Roger, I'll let you react to Comey. Your thoughts on Comey and his brother being paid for by the Clinton Foundation?
Well, I'm not saying that is not true, and I'm going to look that up because it would be a stunning conflict of interest. I don't know why anybody thought the FBI director Comey was going to give a fair ruling. He's the guy who covered up for the Clintons in the Sandy Berger affair. Berger stole national documents, shoved them down in the front of his pants, smuggled them out of the National Archives because the documents showed that Clinton could have killed bin Laden and he didn't. Berger needed to go to prison. We have laws in this country. What was the great message of Watergate? No person is above the law. But Mr. Berger was. And then it was James Comey who investigated the Mark Rich pardons. That's where Mark Rich's wife, he was an international fugitive from justice, a swindler. His wife made massive contributions to the Clinton Foundation. And then on the final days of Clinton's presidency, Clinton pardoned this guy, but the pardon never went through the Justice Department as is required. It was done at the last minute in a special transaction with the president. Quid pro quo, clear pay to play. again, investigated by Assistant Attorney General Comey, gives them a pass. The law clearly does not apply to everyone, not anymore. Now, as far as the media is concerned, your caller's absolutely right. There's extraordinary media bias, unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, I've been through 9 presidential campaigns. There's always been substantial media bias, but in the past, the media, particularly the cable television networks, at least pretended to be neutral. You watch CNN, you watch now Fox after the coup d'etat there, and it's like a wall-to-wall Hillary commercial or wall-to-wall Trump bashing. But here's the good news. Their ratings are suffering every day. They're dropping every day. CNN's already losing money. This year they're going to lose even more.
All right, let's
Fox,
go back.
Which has been very profitable, will cease to be profitable. Let me just cut to the chase. They don't need to pay these people. They're already ideologically copacetic. They already hate Donald Trump. They're already for her. They don't need to be paid to do their dirty work.
Roger, will we see, if Donald Trump loses this election, which the polls suggest today he would, will there be a Donald Trump type of media empire come out of its ashes? Yes or no?
I don't know of a specific plan. I've heard that many times, as you have. I don't think Donald Trump is planning to lose, and therefore I don't think he has a specific plan. I would welcome any new network, any new communications outlet, because diversity of opinion is a good thing for our democracy. And right now, other than Infowars.com, which, by the way, in the wake of the changes at Fox, they're growing astronomically. They went from 4.5 million viewers last week on a given day to about 5 million. In 1 week, that's quite a gain.
Yeah, they're clearly doing
that. There's not much diversity.
Clearly. Roger, let me get a couple quick calls, and I want to get a question before you go. Gary on line 1. Hey, Gary, you're on with Roger Stone.
Yeah, hi. Mr. Stone, I'd just like to say that I personally think that both you and your friend Donald Trump are very poor examples of what a man is or any decent human being. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right, I'm going to put you down as undecided.
Roger, let me ask you this, because I think this is a question that is the only question I care about. I don't care who's going to win. I don't care who you think or I think is going to win. What I do care about, Roger, is a question I've been asking our callers. I want to ask you. Will you accept, Roger, the outcome of the election result, however it turns out, and accept the legitimacy of the new president, whoever it is, yes or no?
If I see substantial exit polling evidence that shows the election was honest, I'll certainly accept the result. But if scientifically conducted exit polls in key precincts, in key counties, in key states show too wide a swing between what the machines show and what the exit poll shows, no, the American thing to do would be to challenge the results of this election.
Last question, Roger.
Absent that, I think everybody should accept the results. But for anyone to say, particularly the president, that voter fraud does not exist, that person should visit Miami-Dade County.
Roger, if by this time next week when we speak again, Donald Trump has declined further in the post-debate, post-Access Hollywood polls that come out, would you concede that perhaps the election is getting away from him?
I don't answer as a general rule hypothetical questions.
We'll ask it next week. All right. Fair enough. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Roger Stone. We'll have him back next week. And up next, folks.